is just sit here in my living room and make a podcast with you while I'm hanging out with you. Okay.
What?
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Punk Rock Horror Podcast, episode number 14. I'm Matt.
I'm Cody. I'm
And
very
today,
uncomfortable now sitting here.
and today we're going to be talking about movies Dark Water and Suspiria. So we try to pick movies that...
Suspiria.
Jesus, relax.
Don't tell me how to live my life, mister. I'm going to sing to you.
I was singing to the listeners.
No, you... They're not recording the podcast.
No, but I'm sure they'd like a little janty tune here and there from the one and only Descendants.
We are not the Descendants.
No, I'm not saying we're not. I'm saying from the Descendants. Like, we were parodying it. I was parodying it.
Good for you.
I don't know what's going on here. Are we fighting?
I missed you. Are we fighting?
So yeah, let's just jump right into it. I asked you last time what's something you love, something you hate. Do you want me to go first this time? Or do you want to go first again?
It's not with that attitude. No, you can go first.
No, do you want to go first?
No, go ahead.
Are you sure?
Let's just go. Matt, what's something you love, something you hate?
Jesus. So something I love is that I'm going to the Sabroso Festival here in a couple weeks with our buddy Harrison, which is a taco truck festival with headlining with Offspring and Pennywise and a couple other notable punk rock bands that I'm super excited to actually go to because it's the first concert that I think I'm going to this year because I don't think I've been to a show at all this year yet. I'm going to miss out on Social Distortion though, so that's really sad, but I mean... I'm really excited to go. I haven't seen Offspring play in a long time. I actually can't remember I think the last time I ever saw them play was at Punk Rocks. And that was, I think, now or almost over a decade ago that I saw them.
No, it isn't.
Yeah.
The last time you saw them was when we went to Riot Fest.
They were at Riot Fest?
No, that was the concert we saw before we went to Riot Fest. Remember? I got you and Justin and Harrison all shirts because I was like, this year, guys, is
you're right.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I'm glad we're so memorable saying that.
I don't know why I forgot that.
Thanks. I'm glad our memories are just so vivid with you. God.
I'm sorry. I don't know why.
Whatever.
My bad.
God.
Well, that feels like almost a decade ago.
Well, was it? How
long ago was that?
About like 6 years ago.
So almost a decade ago.
No, whatever.
So there you go.
You know what? I'm changing that's what I hate now. That you forget our memories of seeing our favorite punk rock bands.
We're going to have to pause this podcast.
Because it was Pennywise, Bad Religion, and Offspring.
Yeah, I remember now. Yeah. It was a solid show.
Yeah.
I think I had a friend at the time who was like super religious who was like, if you believe in God, why do you like Bad Religion? And I'm just like, it's going to be one of those conversations, isn't it?
It's because Jesus is a metalhead.
Jesus is a metalhead. Jesus likes Testament. a little metalhead pun for all you metalheads out there. You know what I'm talking about.
Dude.
Except he's probably more a fan of the Old Testament instead of the New Testament. But I'm just swinging full. I'm just swinging 1,000.
Boo, Leslie, no.
A couple other things I just want to mention I think are really awesome that's been going on is that Quiet Place is a 98% critic reviewed, which goes back into, like I was saying last few episodes about talking about like how horror is getting more traction this year.
Yeah, because like there was Get Out last year, and now Quiet Place this year.
And then it was It, and now it's Get, and then Annihilation, and now Get Quiet Place, and I still need to see that.
I do too. Well, one thing that I really like. Okay, so one thing that I really like about this movie is the fact that like it uses sign language for a lot of it, and that's like something that's kind of overlooked.
I think the daughter is actually deaf.
Mm-hmm. And it's written by John Krasinski
and directed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and if that name sounds familiar, that's Jim from The Office. That's right. He's a horror fan, bitches.
Jesus, calm down.
No.
Except I will say this at first. I for some reason got John Krasinski confused with what's that one dude that took over the Tonight Show from Jay Leno. What's that guy's name? He was on SNL. Do you know who I'm talking about?
Oh my God, what's his name?
Oh god. I have to look him up now.
Why? What the hell is his name?
I don't know. It's bugging me though.
Tonight Show.
Not fuck Jimmy Fallon.
Isn't it Jimmy? Yeah.
No, it's not Jimmy Fallon. It's God. It comes on right after Jimmy Fallon.
I don't know.
This is bugging the shit out of me now. I don't want Jimmy Fallon.
Steve Allen. No, that's the very first host. Tonight Show hosts. Right there. Yep, you're listening to us. It is Jimmy Fallon.
No, it's not Jimmy Fallon.
He's right there.
No, it's not. It's not fucking Jimmy Fallon. It's not Jimmy Fallon.
Oh my gosh.
If somebody can figure it out, let us know what it's trying to talk about. Anyways, a couple of things I wanted to mention as well is that
we literally wasted like 3 minutes of the time trying to figure out who it is. We came up blank.
Oh my god! I'm trying to make up for it. Platinum Dooms came out recently saying that they're going to try to make they're making promises to make original horror films and release original horror films and no more reboots. And also something that made me really happy that I haven't talked about yet on the podcast was that David Michael Latt, the producer, creator of Sharknado, is now following us on Twitter, which makes me really happy because I'm like, oh my god! I texted you and I was like, no fucking way!
Yeah, I was like, what?
One can only hope that he actually listens to us. If so, shout out to you, David.
I love Sharknado. It's so great.
We would love to be eaten by one of your sharks in another movie if you make another one.
Yep.
So, boom. Something I hate is kind of like, so it's everyone freaking out about how Facebook gave personal data from its users to an analytical company. Yeah. And people just being like, oh, my privacy has been, oh my gosh, stolen, blah, 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 government secrets, conspiracy. And I'm just, it kind of makes me annoyed because it's just like, I'm like, are you kidding me? You have a social security card. You pay your bills. You have a job. You've had health insurance. You've had, the government has paper trails on you if they really want to find you. Yeah. Like, I don't know where this, like, all of a sudden spur of people thinking they're big enough to get interest from the FBI. First of all, you shouldn't be getting interest from the FBI. If they're after your data and they're after your personal information like that, then you're probably deserving it. You've probably done something to deserve it. Because they only do that stuff for fucking, like, terrorists, like Homeland terrorists, shit like that. And it's just like, why is that such a bad thing? Like, I feel like the book 1948 or 84, whatever the fuck it is, 1984 has been taken out of context and people are now over exaggerating, freaking out, like, oh my god, the big man is going to follow us everywhere, Big Brother is watching us. And I'm like, you're on fucking Facebook, you're on Twitter, you're on YouTube. Unless you just disappear and cut off communication entirely, like,
well, also like the things with Facebook, like what people don't understand is like what you post on there, that is now public knowledge.
Even anytime you make a phone call, any phone company, like
every text message,
they store your data. Mm-hmm. They'll give it to the FBI or a local law enforcement if it's needed in an investigation. Yeah, like it's not that big of a deal, and people are freaking out, thinking that that their privacy is safe. Like, there's no such thing as absolute privacy in the world we live in. And if you want to cut off everyone and all technology, go for it. That's the only way to kind of do it. But it's like, stop freaking out, Susan. Your knitting posts aren't that big of a government secret.
Yeah, Karen.
So that's just kind of something I've been hating, is everyone freaked out for no reason.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Anyways, Cody, what's something you love, something you hate?
Something I loved was the fact that, like, I found this. I kind of knew about it, but I never really talked about it. Is this thing called placed in Fort Collins? It's called Gore Hounds Playground. And it's newer. It's only been open for a couple months, and it's like a horror themed like rental store, video rental store. So it's like one, I'm kind of excited that there's those things are still around. Yes, they're fairly obsolete when it comes to those like video rental stores because of Netflix and streaming and stuff. But like, it's an entire video store that's dedicated to just horror. It is really cool, and like they have every Friday night, and I think it's Saturday nights too. Also, they do showings. They'll pick two movies, and they'll kind of like a theme of the week where they'll show two movies that have to deal with that. Like this week was independent films, and he showed two independent horror films, and all the money for that people paid to go see those independent films at Gore Hounds. He sent them back to the people who made those movies because they sent their movies in directly to him to show.
Wow.
So I thought that was really cool. And
we should talk to him, see if we can do a little advertisement for him.
Yeah, I was thinking about talking to him about that, and like me and him talked a little bit. It was cool is that he's actually a retired 37-year chef.
I was really hoping you were going to say Hitman.
No, I know. It was like, no, it's pretty cool because like I went in there because my girlfriend's dad, and her mom, they actually told me about it, and we went. That's where I got Grave Encounters, and then someone else actually recommended me and gave me his business card, which was really cool.
Wow!
So the place is really cool, really small, but like has this big.
And what's it called again?
Gore Hounds Playground.
Yeah,
Gore House's playground.
We should go talk to him, see if we can work out something with him.
That'd be cool. I definitely. I told him about our podcast. Yeah, Gore Hounds playground. Told him about our podcast, and he was like, "Well, if you guys ever, whatever movie you need, just come on over here and stuff like that." So it was really.
And what's
cool.
his name?
His name is Jeff Abbott.
Jeff Abbott. Yeah. All right, Jeff, if you're listening to us, shout out to you. We'll come by you sometime soon, maybe talk out something to help benefit us both. Yeah,
he's pretty chill. He's a pretty cool dude. And then that's something I love. And then something I hate is so kind of going back on the last episode when we were talking about like WWE's like treatments.
You said that for some reason. You said last episode for some reason I thought we were going to go back and talk about Rick and Morty. I was like, not again.
No. Even though I think it's funny that Dan Harmon's trolling them with the whole so what's really cool is that they're like, oh my god, they're releasing a Rick and Morty crosses Dungeons and Dragons episode. False. It's a comic series.
Read, bitches.
But I think that's pretty funny. But no, it's okay. So like the one thing that I hate about WWE right now is the fact that like they're fighting themselves in two different directions. They're trying super hard to like be more progressive with their wrestlers and not be as like big meaty men beating each other like how Vince McMahon likes. Yeah. And try to be more technical or like, but they bury every single wrestler that gets over naturally with the crowd, like by themselves.
Yeah.
For instance, the burial of Zack Ryder was stupid. He was so popular with the fans. And he did it naturally. Like he did it by himself.
He could have been the next Cena. Guaranteed.
I wouldn't go so far as Cena. No, I definitely could have been like the next, like how Miz is right now. So Miz is like the best mid-carder that you can use, like borderline headliner. Like I think Zack Ryder could have been there easily.
I say next Cena because he has that image of being a spokesperson for bullying, for an all-standing American Boy Scout kind of guy.
Yeah, but the fact that like he didn't get over because of the actual WWE writers and Vince McMahon, they just like shat on his career. And then
he had a catchy phrase too.
Woo woo woo.
You know it. Like he has a catchy phrase. Like he had
everything, and he was good on the mic. He was actually decent in the ring. Like,
and he actually had a good story too.
Yeah, and
like he was easily likable, and it's like WWE's fucking stupid because here's the thing. His whole thing how he started was like YouTube kind of stuff.
Yeah,
like that was his whole like what he was centered on, and now YouTube's getting bigger, and especially with Twitch and like Fortnite and all that, like. They could definitely cash in with his persona.
Yeah,
like,
but they decided to shit all over that, and then like the only wrestler that really broke that barrier was Daniel Bryan.
Yeah.
Like, because he naturally got over with the fans, and like Vince McMahon wanted to shit all over his career and like keep trying to push Roman Reigns, who at the time, like, yes, Roman Reigns has gotten better in the ring, but like the fact that he was just shoved down our throats so much, everyone's like, boo, boo, Leslie, no. like to the fact that like we said in the last episode, they had to call an audible on their main event at WrestleMania. And just instead of putting on a 5-star match with fucking Shinsuke Nakamura and AJ Styles, like if they gave them enough time and had them as the headliner, guaranteed they would have had the match of the night.
Yeah.
But no, they're like, no, we need Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns. And then like right now, another superstar who got over naturally with the fans just by their charisma and in-ring talent is Rusev. Like, his whole thing is Happy Rusev Day. Like, he got that over naturally, but because he didn't get over because the writers and Vince McMahon wanted him to go over like that. Like, they just keep burying him. And it's like, what the fuck, man? Like, that's what just because he's not your natural guy you want as the face, like some juggernaut Superman, like you're building as Roman Reigns as, the fact that the fans naturally like them. Like, you're going to lose out on stars. Like, Cody Rhodes, he's now one of the biggest stars in Japan right now.
Yeah.
And he's running the second biggest stable in the entire, like, wrestling area of the Bullet Club. Like, that's the most known wrestling stable, the Bullet Club, like, worldwide. Even if you don't watch, like, NJWP or NJPW, you know who the Bullet Club is. Like, because, like, everyone talks about him. And, like, he quit WWE because his talents weren't being used in his natural talents, his natural gab and everything. And now he's one of the biggest stars in Japan. And then same, like, so many people had to leave WWE because they were getting buried just because, like, they naturally got over and stuff. And it wasn't because of the writers and it wasn't because of Vince McMahon. It's like, well, fuck yourself, dude. We don't want to see just big hulking men in 10-minute bouts where it's, like, really slow. We want to see good wrestling. And good storytelling and stuff like that.
Yeah,
so it's like, whatever.
It's just WWE. They're slowly on a decline, and they're hooking on to whatever they can.
Yeah, and it's like, but the thing is, like, all the potential is in NXT. Like, because Triple H took NXT from a stupid little game show to like a legitimate good wrestling. Like, it had good matches, it has good storytelling. And then Triple H took over 205 Live, which was the worst thing in the world for the longest time because you just wanted to see a bunch of dudes do flippy shit. That's why 205 Live was created. And then it went straight to baby SmackDown and Raw, which nobody wanted. And now that Triple H took back over it, now it went back to the flippy shit that everybody wanted to watch the Cruiserweights do in the first place. So it's like, you can tell, like, the way Vince McMahon wants to run things is not what people want to see anymore. We want to see what, like, Triple H understands what the people want to see. Like, even though, yes, he inserts himself into every big thing all the time, but it's like, you know, he still has that nostalgia factor, seeing as how nostalgia is like a big thing still. And so, like, but he knows how to run a program now. Yeah, so that's kind of my thing. Is like, just let, like, for once, give the fans what they want. Like, God.
Yeah, I think we should probably move on before we get any more heated.
We should move on.
Relax, man.
Anyways, I think I talked about my movie first last time, right?
No, I did.
You okay? Cool. So I'll talk about my movie first this time. I watched Suspiria, which I remember, like, seeing it in, like, some top 10s and stuff like that, because, like, I never really heard about it, but it's considered one of the most disturbing movies ever made. And one of the most unsettling movies, a lot because of the sound that's in it.
To which, real quick, before we continue, I will say that they are working on a remake of the movie. So
why the fuck not? I mean, they're remaking everything. Whatever. As long as it's the person who did the It remake, I would totally be fine with that.
I don't know who is doing it. All I just know is that they're making a remake. Yeah, but if you go on, go ahead.
So the synopsis is: a newcomer to a prestigious German ballet academy comes to realize that the school is a front for something sinister amidst a series of grisly murders. I mean, honestly, she was only aware of, like, 2 murders. I think, yeah, there was only, like, 3 deaths in this movie. So, like, the funny thing...
Don't forget to include the director and writers and everyone.
Just yeah,
saying.
I know. It was directed by Dario Argento. It was written by Dario Argento. Also, he did, and Daria Nicolodi.
The end.
What?
Nickelodeon.
Hate my life.
We're kids, man.
It stars Jessica Harper, Stefani Cassini, Flavio Bucci. Yeah, those are the three main ones. Fun fact: the music was actually done by the artist The Goblins, which I thought was really cool. And so so a lot of people were kind of hating on Suspiria because it was said it was very unsettling. It was one of those movies that had very unsettling scenes and everything. And the thing that because I remember when I was watching it, I was like, I don't see. I guess probably because I'm a little numb to.
Well, and what I kind of want to point out is that this is our first episode where we're watching reviewed movies that we haven't seen before.
Yeah, that's true. This is my very first time watching it was for this because I only saw snippets on top 10s and stuff like that,
and they're shit.
Yeah, well, okay, so
I'm just kidding.
Because for the most part, whenever I saw snippets of this movie before I fully watched it, they only showed the beginning, the very first murder in the beginning, and then a quick little snippet at the end.
Yeah,
and so
because it is a classic.
Yeah, well, I think it's more of a cult classic. A lot of people, even though it was praised for its sound, which I'll get into soon.
Yeah.
A lot of people really didn't like it because it was so unsettling, and I think not just because of the sound, but the videography of it was really good because throughout. So one thing that I noticed throughout the entire movie, any room in the back, whenever she was in the academy,
okay,
whatever room she wasn't in, the main character or any scene that was taking place in. It was all red. It was this very unnerving red in the background.
Oh, so it did.
Movie.
So it used colors to create an uneasy atmosphere.
Yep, with all the red, and so even in the beginning, and so the beginning murder, the very first murder that you see, it's it's all in red, and it's just very out of effect, and I thought that was really cool. And so, where the sound comes in for it, they made it super uneasy and everything, was that the only time there was music was when something creepy was going to happen. Otherwise, there was no sound whatsoever, no music, except for when they did the couple scenes of ballet, and then when something bad was going to happen. And so, the thing that I liked about it was that what I mean by that is that each sound had a purpose in this movie. Each sound. And so, fun fact about the music and the sounds for that is it was all made within 10 days. So, the Goblins, when they got it, they were told they only had a day and a night to make the soundtrack. They had one full 24-hour period to make the soundtrack, and then they spliced it all to the movie in 10 days.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, very short amount of time, and they did so well for it.
Yeah, because I'm looking at some of the interesting facts about this movie, and one thing that's really interesting is that there's a woman. A director, Dario Argento's original idea was the ballet school would accommodate young girls not older than 12. However, the studio and producer Salvatore Argento, his father, denied his request because a film this violent involving children would almost certainly be banned. Dario raised the age limit of the girls to 20, but didn't rewrite the script, hence the naivety of the characters on the occasionally childlike dialogue. He also put he put all the doorknobs at about the same height as the actresses' heads, so they would have to raise their arms. It's such a weird way to get around it.
So okay, so that helps the movie so much too, because except for what's her name? Where is it? Jessica Harper's character. Except for her, you can tell there was something off with every character in the whole entire movie. There was something from the get-go.
Yeah.
You knew something was off with each, with all the ballet dancers and the teachers and everybody else in it. And so I thought that was kind of a cool thing. And so what I mean by this, the sound effects and everything. So a little bit, I had to say, a little bit of a spoiler because you kind of you hear about the twist a little bit later on in the movie. It's definitely not up to the up front about what it is, and this is what actually one of the biggest criticisms it had originally. because it felt like it was just a kind of big like swing in the ballpark. They're like, haha, and it's witches. So like,
it's always witches.
yeah, because like it made it more feel like a little bit more like a demonic type thing, or like it was going to be a serial killer, because like, so the first death in the movie is by a serial killer, and so you think it's going to be a serial killer stalking all these ballerinas and stuff like that, and that wasn't it at all.
Yeah.
But so every time something uneasy was happening or something bad was going to happen, you kind of hear this like almost a xylophone style like sound.
Is it kind of like a
really
waterphone?
Yeah, because it's really high pitched and like do 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 do. That's not the sound of it.
You sound like you're about to do the Super Mario theme.
Do 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 do. Dude, but no, it's like but no, so like you'll hear these high pitched like instrument playing like kind of sound like they're playing a xylophone, and then all of a sudden the goblins would come in with like these doing laws, like going la 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 la.
And that's always unsettling.
Yeah, well, it's like very faint and very scraggly. So like that happened every time, or you hear like very like African sounding instruments playing in the background too. Whenever like shit went down, like when it's like getting really intense of like someone was being murdered or like someone was being stalked, and so that's the only time music was played, was when the witches were doing their black magic.
So like at the points where it's supposed to be playing, then
like and that was the only time you heard music throughout the whole film. Whenever there was just regular dialogue or anything, you know how, and nowadays like they'll have like when they're having dialogue, there's like a little like faint little jig playing in the background, like that make you like kind of like uneasy in the sense of like they're like, oh my god, this is happening. You hear like in the background or whatever.
Kind of like the ominous sounds like in Friday the 13th or like Halloween.
Yeah, like when they're speaking and you hear the music in the background, it was completely silent.
I got what you're saying.
Mm-hmm. And then, like, for instance, one of the best scenes that, in my opinion, which kind of came out of nowhere, was so there's this blind piano player. He was the one who'd play the piano for all the ballerinas during their like their practices and stuff. So he gets fired, and before his thing happens, he's like out in the middle of this like area, and then you start hearing the witching music happening, and like he has his seeing eye dog is going ape shit, like barking at nothing, but it's like made you to feel like the witches were there.
Well, and like one thing I want to point out is like how you mentioned like Goblin, you play a lot all the music. What he also did, which I don't know if you mentioned, was that since he composed the music with Goblin, he played it at full blast on set to unnerve the actors and elicit a truly scared performance.
Yeah, so like you can tell when the blind guy's like in this giant like open space, and before like his thing happens, he's flipping the fuck out. He's like, who's there? He's like really panicking. You can really feel his scared. Like, because I was sitting there, there's like a German Shepherd barking its head off. He's freaking out, going, who's there? And you're hearing these witch chants in the background, and like this like ethnic music playing in the background. And I was just like, huh! And so the two instruments that they used was a tabla, which is the drum. It's a type of drum. It's a African drum. And then I'm going to butcher this. Bouzouki.
Bazooka, you mean?
Yeah.
The one that blows things up, right?
No.
I know, I'm just kidding.
It's not even bubblegum.
That was a terrible joke.
Seriously, get out. Get out of your own apartment.
All right, bye.
But so that's like, it's a tiny guitar, and so like it almost sounds like a little mandolin.
Yeah.
Like those were the two main instruments he used, including like chants and stuff like that. And like the only real word you heard in the music, because this one part, like it threw me off, and this is where it kind of gives away that they're witches. Is so the main girl gets there. It's her first real day there, and she's walking, and all of a sudden, like the like little la la la's coming in the background, and she looks at this like she looks at this like fat German lady polishing a giant like pyramid looking thing, and then she just like the German lady looks at her real fast and goes, witch! And then it like flashes bright, and she's just like, yeah, and the girl's like, ah!
Fat German ladies, oh my!
Yeah, and like that kind of threw me off. But like, so the one thing, so I liked it, especially for what it was, being how old it is and stuff like that. But I can definitely see a lot of the criticisms. Like one of my biggest criticisms of it is actually the whole witch thing. It's because it doesn't really feed off it, except for like the stories between her and her bestie that she makes at the school. Like the bestie's finding out that there's all these witches, and like the school's built from a coven of witches, and there's one really old witch. She's mentioned like twice.
Hillary Clinton.
Oh!
Don't worry, you're no better, Mr. Trump.
Yeah, nowhere near, Mr. I want to start World War III.
That's an entirely different thing.
Our one political statement per episode.
For every few.
Yeah. But like, and so like, I didn't like that because near the end, all of a sudden, so they never really outright show the whole, like, all the ballerinas and the teacher.
Sounds like we're getting into the cons now.
Yeah. These are kind of my cons, is that it never really outright shows the other ballerinas, the teacher, and the principal of the school hate the protagonist.
Mm-hmm.
And like they don't really outright hate her, and they're really supportive of her, and like she gets sick at one point, but you find out they're drugging her.
Any responsible good.
But like you find out, and then like when she finds out they're witches and like finds their little secret place, the principal of the school is like, I want that American bitch dead. I want her dead.
Or her family dead.
And I was just like, where was all this animosity and anger in the beginning? Because you never really feel like they're all out to get her. Like you always feel like they're a little off with her, but you never have that feeling except from the teacher like once. And then like another thing that I really hated. So this is where the whole like the stupidity comes out in like horror movies. Is so she figures out that she's being drugged through her food. And so one night she's getting rid of her food and she puts all the solid objects in the toilet, flushes it, it all goes down, and then she has her drink that's bright red, like Kool-Aid, and instead of dumping it in the toilet and flushing it, she dumps it in the sink. And it just splatters red everywhere, and she's like, oh, I gotta wash it and make sure it's like not in there. I'm like, why don't you just put it in the toilet? She doesn't.
Because she just used the toilet. She can't use it twice. That's rude.
Well, why didn't she just dump it in there with the rest of the food? Like that was my thing. I was like, why didn't you just?
That's
do that?
against the rules.
Because like she's like trying to wash it down and she doesn't even finish washing it down. She just like stops running the water and looks at it. It looks like someone just like sneezed blood all over like the sink, and it's just there. And I was just like, all right, whatever, okay. Cool. And then my other big con was kind of the ending of it. Like, so I guess it was probably like, so when I had to watch it, like I had to kind of keep it on low because Audrey was going to bed and couldn't really like, I didn't want to keep her up. And so like, and I knew the music was going to be a big thing, a lot of screeching and loud noises.
Yeah.
Yeah. The whole la-las, and so I had it on really low, so I will admit I probably missed some of the like important dialogue from it. But at the same time, like, so when the ending just kind of ends, like it abruptly ends, and also like, so somehow this whole coven of witches is all somehow linked to this main witch, and when the main witch is just disposed of randomly, like I feel like in my opinion it was just like, there was no build up to like this Empress Witch or whatever, head witch, and she's just disposed of. All the other witches die and the building gets set on fire.
Kind of like just thrown in.
Yeah, I felt like it was just kind of thrown in there, and like she's dead, and then all the other witches are dead, and then the whole thing goes up in flames, and that's the end of the movie. I was like, you could have built up a little bit more of that, especially about this like main witch type thing. Like there was no, I don't know. I just felt like it was almost a little out of place.
I get what you're saying. Do you feel like you're getting kind of to the end of this?
Yeah, I mean, like, I enjoy it.
Sounds kind of rude. Are you almost done?
Yeah,
it's like, that's what I'm basically saying. It's like, are you almost done? Because I just kind of want to move on.
Yeah, because fuck me,
whatever.
Right? Just, whatever. Yeah, cool. Just talk about what you want to talk about. My opinions of my movies don't matter. It's just, hey, you done yet? Wrap it up.
Let's go. Come on. But no, what's the case you want to make for this movie then? Why it deserves a second look?
I think
Swear to God, if your phone makes a goat noise one more time.
Speaking of the Vivitch, I think it needs to be seen mostly because like it's definitely one of those movies where the sound makes the movie. Because I think if they had music playing throughout the whole entire movie, it definitely would have taken the effects of the sound and everything away, like when the witch enchantings happen and stuff like that. And I think it definitely would have taken that out of it. And so it's really cool to see a movie that's so old use sound so well. And then, one more con that I had is, so the first murder in the movie didn't really make any sense. So all of a sudden the chick that gets killed, she's on the second floor, and then she looks out her window and she sees these cat eyes, and all of a sudden this big, hairy, nasty arm busts through the window, smashes her face in the window, pushes her face in the window, then somehow she's all the way on the roof. Made no sense, because then all of a sudden she dies by like getting stabbed a bunch. All of a sudden somehow there's this giant tear in her chest where you can see the heart getting stabbed. And then and they're somehow again on the roof, and then he just smashes her head through the center of this giant plate glass window, and then she goes through it and she's hung all of a sudden. I mean, kind of shows him putting the cord on her to hang her with, but then she gets hung, and then there's no giant tear in her chest where he busted through to stab her heart. It's just gone. So it kind of bothered me how she went from the second floor to the rooftop.
You said she went through a window, right?
It just shows her head go through the window.
So fun fact, that's the Dario Argento's trademark, is that there's a murder victim that always crashes through a window.
Oh, well.
So...
Oh, and also when her face is getting mushed on the window, I lost my shit. Because she's screaming and it's doing the all intense stuff, and I was on the seat of my chair through that whole part until it does the close, until you're seeing her face mush against the window, and because all I could think of was, she's just screaming with her nose mushed, and I kind of
Carmy.
Yeah, and so I kind of lost my shit at that point until her face went through the window. It was just funny seeing her all mushed. So,
you know what I realized? We have a friend that looks like Miss Piggy. I won't say her name on the podcast.
Oh,
but it just
why are you always hating on her?
I don't hate her. I like her. I know,
but I feel like you take little jabs at her whenever you have a chance.
No, I like her. She's a nice person. I don't mean it as a mean thing. I just I really don't mean it in negative connotation. She just does. Like how people say you look like Brock Lesnar.
I still don't see it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's that's just who she reminds me of.
Yeah. But again, you should if you haven't seen it, I definitely recommend seeing it, because it's it's really good because it has its own soundtrack built exclusively for the movie. And then it's also, and the soundtrack is praised a lot. It's one of the most highly praised soundtracks in horror films. And the Goblins do a really, really good job at it. And they do a really great job at making you feel unnerved and unseated when the music's playing. It's the most intense parts of it. So if you ever, if sound in horror in films, even in general, is something that you like, I definitely recommend seeing this movie. And it's also a huge cult hit.
Also, this is also our first old classic movie that we've actually gone over.
Yeah, because we only briefly touched on The Thing, and stuff like that. But yeah, this is our first actually reviewed movie. Boom!
Excuse me, sorry.
Boom! Classics in for the win.
Yeah.
Ooh. All right, now you can talk about your movie, Master Majesty.
No, I'm just kind of fine with it. Podcast for today. I'm gonna go take a nap. I feel really unappreciated right now.
You know what? You're jumping down, and I thought about. Are you done?
To throw it, I want to jump down.
God. Gross.
You're gay.
You're gay.
I don't know why you call me gay. You said it first, gay.
We appreciate all our LGBT community.
Look, man, here's the thing. If we poke fun at you, that means we accept you and you're welcome to hang out with us. If we don't make fun of you, then we hate you. Or if we actually hate you, you'll know.
Yeah.
I'm talking to you, vaccination deniers. You know who you are. And if you don't, then...
Any dilly before you go on another giant rant about vaccinations.
Don't even get
Let's talk about your movie.
Don't get me started.
Go.
Just, a person...
What's your movie?
I'm just saying, the person who I got into arguments with about it recently made a post saying, like, we just accept information as is and aren't willing to have an open discussion about the information we receive. And I'm like, the irony! Instead,
no way.
That's just, fuck it, whatever. Her kid can be a walking cesspool of diseases, I don't care.
Jesus.
What? It's her fault. She's the terrible mother.
All right, what?
Or dad, I don't know.
Oh, no. Something.
So mine was Dark Water, specifically the original Japanese film, Dark Water, that came out in 2002.
I totally forgot that this was a remake.
I know, right? It's kind of one of the more less discussed remakes, ironically enough, because you think it would be talked about more. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so it was directed by Hideo Nakata, written by Koji Suzuki and Kenichi Suzuki. Stars Hitomi Kuroki, Ryo Kano, and Mirai Oguchi. So I'm actually I got really nervous that I was going to choke up and not pronounce any of the names correctly, and it was about to feel really bad.
Oh, that's
and it's about a mother and her 6-year-old daughter who move into a creepy apartment whose every surface is permeated by water.
Permeated,
whatever. Don't tell me how to live my life. Okay? Just let me get through this. It's been a hectic week. Okay, just let me get through this.
You said your week was fine.
I lied. I need to cry.
Okay.
No, I'm just kidding.
Podcast. You can cry in my bosom afterwards.
I'm really depressed because I got already through Santa Clarita Diet Season 2. And it ended too quick. I want more.
I mean, I'm really sad because I finished Season 6 of New Girl, so we all can't have our things.
You like New Girl?
I love New Girl.
I don't think we can be friends.
It's so... Schmidt is the best.
I don't know, man.
God.
I'm just kidding.
And I say, you know what? We can all have our own thing. Okay?
No need to judge me on mine.
Yeah. God.
So anyways, Dark Water. So we're going to see with this movie is that some of the pros are also kind of cons. And you'll see what I mean as I go on. So
no,
this movie is very slow for its pacing, but it's well placed with its how slow it is in the beginning of telling its story, because it does it enough to give you a background to why to care about this mother and her daughter. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't rush it to where you have to care about them. It lets you progressively care about them and compare about the struggle that the mother is going through trying to win custody over her daughter. And that's where it comes into this definitely a unique story, because it's this mother who, gets this apartment to, prove that she's capable of taking care of her daughter so she can, have custody of her. And that's when all these supernatural happenings start to happen is in this apartment.
Yeah.
And that's why I give it definitely a unique story moniker on this. And so Hitomi Kuroki, who plays Yoshimi the mother, does a very good job at playing a very vulnerable yet very likable character, because she's playing this mother who is going through a divorce and is going through a custody battle, and you can tell she's a little unhinged because of how stressed out she is, because she's also trying to find a job so she can prove that she's capable of taking care of her daughter to the lawyers in the court system. And she has this vulnerability to her because she's never, no one ever really experiences stuff that that they go through with supernatural happenings, especially her. And you can see that she's scared out of her wit and she doesn't know what to do, but she's also a very strong mother. Yeah. She's trying to solve this problem on herself. She's trying to protect her daughter. She's trying to do what she can. She's not completely relying on a man to save her or someone else.
Yeah.
And so that she's very likable, and because usually you see mothers kind of in these kind of roles that are very overprotective or don't have the chemistry isn't right there. It's just kind of for a mother kind of role.
Because usually a mother role you kind of you almost hate them a little bit because you feel like they're usually super overbearing when it's
kind of like The Haunting in Connecticut, where she did a great job playing her role as a mother, but it wasn't. You can tell it wasn't the focus
And I mean, it sure that movie wasn't supposed to focus on the mom, but like,
Yeah.
like it's kind of a side role. It felt like, and so that's what I really liked about Hitomi's acting in this. And then the water phone is actually used in this movie, and it's so well done, and yet it's so subtle when it happens that it provides an instant eerie feeling in the scenes that it's used for. Like, key in point, like I actually kind of talked about in the last episode, where like she goes to Yoshimi goes to pick up her daughter Ikoku, and from kindergarten. When she picks her up, she sees this flyer for this disappeared girl, and realizes that disappeared girl is the one she saw in her apartment complex.
Oh, okay.
That doesn't give anything away. It doesn't give a major spoiler away, so that's why I didn't do a spoiler warning. But like that's where you can hear the water phone being used. And there's a few other points. The only reason I didn't include the points in this is because it would give away too much.
Okay.
And so that's why I didn't include where it is. But when you see that scene, it's when you really go back and look at it, it's so subtly used and well done that it just comes out of nowhere and provides that instant eerie feeling of realization that the hero is going through.
Yeah.
You know, and that's very well done for, you know, that kind of instrument where it's not completely relying on the instrument to make or break the movie, but it's relying on it to make that scene. And that's what I liked about it, especially for a movie that's this slow paced. That the water phone is a perfect instrument for this type of movie, and this, even probably all slow-paced movies. So, and the apartment complex itself is perfectly creepy. It has dark, you know, like painted walls, dark colors on walls to give a very like dark atmosphere. It has small, short, cornered halls. So which, you know, when the hero's running through the hallway, it pans really quick and like kind of like makes you jump a little bit because you're wondering is a ghost going to come out? What's going to happen? You know, oh my god.
Yeah.
You know, because it's and so I really like the apartment they're choosing because it's a perfect setting for how creepy this movie is.
Okay.
And then Yoshimi going up to room 405 in that scene is such a unique shot because when she goes into the room, like it looks like a rainforest, like the sink is running, the whole thing is flooded, and it's such a unique shot because you don't really see these dark movies that have all this water running in it to where the sound isn't too overbearing where it takes away from the creep factor.
Yeah.
But it adds to it. And when you see her pick up her daughter, who she finds like in room 405, you can see the ghost of the girl that disappeared just kind of like inch forward from behind her. And and that's what I mean. This is such a unique shot and it's so well done that it could have been easily ruined.
Yeah.
It could have it could have been so easily ruined if they didn't do it, if something was off. And it's so well done. It's such a unique shot that I love. That's probably my favorite scene in the entire movie, just because it's so well done. And then moving forward, Shigemitsu Ogi, who plays the lawyer in this movie. This is what I really liked about this is he, you know, he's her lawyer. He's Yoshimi's lawyer, and he catches her packing up, getting ready to move because she's had enough of the hauntings. I actually think it's shortly after the scene that I just talked about. And he's just like, if you do this, you're going to lose your daughter. And she's like, well, what am I supposed to do? And so early on in the movie, Yoshimi complained about the water stain. She complained about the footsteps upstairs. She complained about a lot of stuff to hotel management. So he actually went to hotel management, the lawyer, went to the apartment management and held him accountable for not hearing out Yoshimi's complaints. And it's very refreshing because usually in these type of movies, you know, they're
just kind of like, deal with it.
Yeah, the woman in distress or the guy in distress, they're just like, just whatever, you're crazy.
Yeah.
Whatever, blah, and they just write off. Like, the lawyer could have just easily been like, oh, you're crazy, you're just in your head, you're too stressed out.
Yeah.
You know, instead he goes and he walks through. He does a very good job at debunking a lot of the supernatural hauntings that occur. Like, one that was my favorite is that she goes up to the top of the apartment complex and she sees the water tank. And she sees the little girl that disappeared come out and then go back right behind the water tank really quickly. And so he comes up and he's like, he's like, well, he's like, when was the last time this water tank's been checked? And, apartment management is just like, oh, that's not my job. That's the cleaning company's job. And he's like, okay, well, water reflects sound and light. And there at night, there's all these signs out here to reflect all this light that I'm willing to guarantee you saw a reflection and not, some one person. That's probably what you saw. Yeah. And to be able to make that debunk in the movie is really refreshing, instead of just being like, oh, it is a ghost, or oh, you're just seeing things. Like, he actually followed through,
yeah,
to actually make sure what's actually going on here. Mm-hmm. And so that was really nice, because it wasn't a guy saying like, oh, she's just a crazy mother woman, she's whatever, she's just a female, she's on her period kind of thing. Because you get what I mean, though?
It's that time of the month, isn't it?
You get what I mean, though. Yeah. So that's what that was actually refreshing to see. Now, on to the cons. So Yoshimi Hitomi Kuroki doesn't really do a bang-up job on her first day of having sole custody of her daughter. Purely because the daughter's like, I'm gonna go see my room, and she's like, okay. Then all of a sudden, the daughter's on the roof of like the apartment complex. I was like, did you not hear her go out the door? Like, did you not think to go check on her? And like, she's like, where did my daughter go? Yeah. Like, and just kind of like, I was like, I feel like, you want to be in charge of her. You want to win her over from the, court system, whatever. I don't know. I felt like she should have been more on top of it. Yeah. And so this is kind of what I was talking about. Like,
do better, Yoshimi.
Come on. But so this is where I was talking about where like the pros kind of contradict the cons and vice versa. So the slow pacing can make it hard to focus in some parts of this movie.
Yeah.
So like going back to the beginning, there's a scene where it shows Yoshimi as a little girl where she's just like staring off, and it kind of does the scene for a little too long.
Yeah.
And so it's like that points like that make it really kind of hard to focus and pay attention to what's going on in this movie, because it's just a little too paced out. It's too slowly paced out in some spots. And again, I didn't write down a lot of the scenes just because some of the scenes did give away spoilers. Yeah. And so I didn't do it for that reason. But that is something that does hurt this movie, is sometimes it's a little too slow. And also there's a scene where like, she takes her daughter to her kindergarten first day at kindergarten, and so like the mother is like sitting down with the principal talking about the school's philosophy, be like, we encourage our kids to do whatever they want, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden he's like, would you excuse me? Gets up, literally walks a couple feet away, and starts disciplining a kid in front of Ikoku's mother. And I'm just like, does the principal just discipline kids in front of whoever is around? Like, does he not take them into like an office and just like discipline them? Like, and I'm willing to admit maybe a lot of these cons are because like it's a culture kind of thing. Because
I don't say because that's embarrassment in front of others,
right? And that's what I figured, but it's still just kind of like weird because for me, I guess, was because it was like, now if you excuse me, I got to go shove my foot up this kid's ass verbally.
Yeah.
Here's your tea. Which, like, I'm not going to do Asian accents because that's like super racist. Or
don't do it.
Japanese accent, sorry.
I mean, they're in Asia.
Yeah, so, anyways. Sorry. And then there's a point where, so at the beginning of this movie, you see, she finds this red bag. And she's like kind of just weirded out by it. So she reports it to the hotel management. Hotel management puts it in lost and found. And then one night she goes to throw away trash and she sees the bag in the trash. And like she like stands back and is just like, and I'm just like, why are you so weirded out that the red bag is in the trash now?
Yeah, it's like no one claimed it. Dump.
And so I was like, maybe because like they did it the day of, and I'm like, still though, like, because in that scene, the hotel management's like, you're the only kid here, like, there's no one other, kids here, a mother with a kid here, and so he's like, I'm just gonna throw this away, like, no one's gonna come for it.
Yeah,
he's like, I have no way to get a hold of anyone, it's just taking up space, and probably just threw it away, and that weirded her out, and I was just like, that was kind of something that was really weird. Also, Ikuchan's or Ikoku school. So there's a scene where like the mother Yoshimi doesn't come to pick her up on time, And so, like, Ikoku is just kind of like standing there all by herself, just kind of like walking into the rain by herself, standing in the rain by herself. And I'm just like, do none of the teachers just care about the kids once the bell rings?
Nope, they're like, fuck these kids, I'm out.
Because she's just like, and you never see any of the teachers actually like call the father or take care of Ikoku or anything like that. It's just like, oh, bell rings, you're on your own, bitches. See you later, nerds.
Yeah.
And just like walk off. And so that was kind of weird. Also, there's a point in the school where, you know, Yoshimi is there for like because Ikoku like fainted in a scene in a game of hide and seek. And so Yoshimi's walking through through school with the principal, and all of a sudden she stops to see this wall of all this like paintings and drawings that the kids made.
Yeah.
And so at that point she sees a picture of this girl who's wearing a yellow raincoat, who's wearing a red purse, and and she's like, you know, oh, come here soon. Like, oh, what's this picture? And like about, and he's just like, oh yeah, that was from a girl who disappeared some time back. And I was just like, really? And I'm just like, you just keep an artwork of a girl who disappeared?
Yeah.
Like, I understand the whole memorial thing, but this wasn't a memorial. Like, it's just like, it's still a pretty nice picture. We're just gonna keep it up.
Like, I thought I was really expecting you to go be like, hey, who's this picture? I was like, oh, that's Bette Midler. I don't know why Bette Midler, but
it's just, how can I help you? It's my Bette Midler impersonation. But it's just kind of weird. It's like, it's just some disappeared kid. And okay, well, cool. I'm glad you just hold on to that stuff.
Yeah.
I just hang it up for everyone. Also, this movie never explains why Yoshimi is the only one who can see visions of what happened to the little girl who disappeared. Like, she begins to see visions of what happened in the past, of like what happened to the girl. Yet it doesn't explain why she can see him and why she's the only one that can see him. It's just her.
Yeah.
Like, there's no explanation for it, and so that's kind of like a weird loophole in this, because it's like, does the hotel management see it? And they're just like, whatever. It's a side effect from the mold. Like
it's not asbestos.
And so that's just really, oh god,
oh jeez,
it's contaminating my lungs. Also, in this entire movie, it doesn't show anyone else living in this complex. It shows like two old ladies in the beginning, which, by the way, would be me and you, because they're just sitting there, and like she's running, and like this is when Yoshimi's trying to find her daughter. She's like, "Have you seen my daughter?" And like one of the old ladies is holding a dog, and she's like, "We haven't seen her anywhere. Have you seen her, Mr. Barrett? Mr. Barrett says he hasn't seen her.
He says bork bork."
That'll just be me and you, just being total dicks with like Mercedes. Have you seen her, Mercedes?
Mercedes says, "Fuck yourself."
And so, but there's no sightings of anyone else in the entire complex, and so it was like, how does the whole complex stay alive off the one single mother's like rent?
Apparently, there's so much asbestos in the walls they just stopped caring.
Literally, the food is made of asbestos.
Yeah, it's just all the other tenants are just like in their rooms going like,
they're all just druggies. So that's just also a really weird thing, that there's no other people that live there. And lastly, I'm now going to talk about the spoiler. So this actually does have a spoiler in it. So if you don't want to hear the spoiler, move ahead at least by, I want to say 5 minutes. I don't know, what do you do? No, let's do 3 minutes. So move ahead by 3 minutes in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, so the spoiler that I don't like about this movie is that Yoshimi dies in the end, and there's no explanation for it, and it's just a letdown. Basically, the kid comes back like in a zombified, soggy state, and just like holds on to Yoshimi, and it's just like kind of like choking her, but not really. It's just like pinching the side of her shoulders, kind of being a dick more than anything. And so he's just pinching Yoshimi's shoulders, and like Ikoku was like trying to go save her mother. She's like, "No, Ikoku, stay away!" And the dead girl is just like holding on to her. So Yoshimi wraps her arms around the dead girl. She's like, "I'm your mama. I'm your mama, because the dead girl keeps saying mama to her, and she's like, I'm your mama, and then I guess just like Yoshimi dies. Like that's it. There's no explanation for it. There's no reason as to why. There's no reason to why not Ikoku, the disappeared girl, sees Yoshimi as her mother. Like there's nothing. Like it just doesn't do anything. And then the resolution doesn't solve anything either. All it does is it solves like Ikoku missing her mother, because has Ikoku come back to the complex when she's like 16, and like her mother tells her she can't go with her. Basically, that's it. That's it. There's still like no explanation for why Yoshimi did what she did, what happened to Yoshimi, or anything like that.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of just a letdown. But the case for why I like this movie is that it has a very likable cast, for especially majority of the time being only a mother and a daughter. You know, the chemistry between the two actresses is very well done, and you can see that they play off each other very well. And this is actually a character that you root for. This is a mother you root for. This is a hero that you root for, that you want to see succeed. And that's what I love about this movie, is that you want to see her succeed. You want her to win. You want her to get out of this place. You want her to win the case for her daughter.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what I love about this movie, is that it actually has a heartwarming story to it. Like throughout all the terror, all the hauntings, all the scares, it actually has a heartwarming story, and it definitely deserves way more attention because of that.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of horror movies that don't really encompass that heart very well, or don't let it, come off very well.
Yeah.
And so that's my case with this movie, is that this is a great movie that you want to watch. And I would even go on to say that if you have a daughter or son, who you feel is age appropriate for horror movies, this is a good movie to watch with them.
Yeah.
Like a parent child, like this is actually a good one. And I recommend it to any of our parents out there. I'll probably watch it with Erin when she gets a little older.
Yeah.
So yeah, and that's why I like this movie. I don't know. Do you have any tidbits or anything?
You done? Yeah. See, that's how that feels.
So that's what that feels like.
No, I just definitely watch these two movies, like especially with like the sounds and everything that are in these movies. I mean, that's why we picked them, because we're talking about sounds in horror movies.
A couple of interesting things there's only one interesting fact about this movie that IMDb shows, and that's that this is the second film by Hideo Nakata to be based on a novel by Koji Suzuki. He previously directed Ring in 1998 and its sequel Ring 2 in 1999. But since there isn't a lot of trivia, I will at least throw in a goof. So at around 1 hour and 3 minutes, when everyone is up on the roof examining the water tower, a flap of cloth or pant leg can be seen at the top of the ladder. This could be something attached to the tower, but later when she climbs it by herself, which I'm assuming they're talking about Yoshimi, and we see the whole thing, no such cloth is visible.
So some dude's pant leg just ruined the movie.
Set guy.
Motherfucker.
Damn it, Karen. So, with that being said, I think we're at the end of this episode.
Yep.
I don't know. I feel like apparently a lot of people liked our Alien episode. I felt like that one wasn't as strong.
I know. I feel like we kind of rushed it.
Yeah. I don't know.
We were both in kind of grumpy moods.
Do we feel like we rushed this one?
Especially me. No.
Because I'm at the point where I'm having a hard time telling if we're in our groove or if we're just rushing it or if it's a hybrid.
I thought we were in a groove.
So maybe we're in a groove. Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. I also kind of...
not anymore, now that you mention it. Now it's like, well...
Now let's start over.
This is the worst thing ever. Podcast over.
I also kind of want... before we end, one thing I was thinking about the other day, I was just like, I want listeners to kind of feel comfortable coming up to us in public and talking to us. And so because I feel like we come off as very intimidating, grumpy dudes.
Especially
so I keep trying to think of what is something that we say a lot that people can just say to us. Because the My Favorite Murder podcast, which by the way is hosted by one of my longest crushes, Karen Kilgariff. I let it go. There was no point it was ever going to happen.
I know.
So
I'm not sorry, but I know.
It's okay. I have a beautiful wife. I love her. Anyways,
kisses. No. Love you, Lauren.
Kiss dad ass.
But no, so like their like tagline is like "Stay sexy, don't get murdered," and that's how like they can connect with fans in public.
I mean, so
so
far,
it's almost just like, what is something we say a lot? And I'm like, cunt. I feel like I say that a lot.
I don't.
And then I thought about it. I was like, if some dude just yelled cunt at me in public, I might not take it as a side.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't.
I'm like, what did you say?
I mean, so far our main thing has been podcast over.
Podcast over.
Yeah, we say that.
That's a good one. Podcast over. Yeah, if somebody says podcast, that's how we'll know. Come say podcast over. Or what I was gonna say is
boo. That's
no, because I don't think people are trying to talk about The Office.
It's
Parks and Rec. Same thing.
Okay. No, get the fuck out. No, it's not. Hate my life.
It's one doesn't have Chris Pratt.
Podcast over.
One doesn't have the brilliance of Chris Pratt.
You know what? Steve Carell was amazing.
I'm not saying he wasn't.
Just whatever.
But I'm just saying, could you imagine him and Chris Pratt being in that kind of setting together?
It'd be great.
What I was going to say is that I think people should, we should start making our moniker is watch a horror movie, listen to some punk rock, and take care of yourself.
Yeah, you could just make up the whole entire thing. Discussing it.
Well, no, I was going to open it for you. Throw in yours. Which one do you think?
I kind of like just podcast over. We say that every single episode.
Fine. We will do podcast over
until we think of something better.
I liked fine. What's wrong with fine?
It's nothing. Whatever.
God. You know what? Podcast over.
Podcast over.
All right. So thank you everyone for tuning in and listening to us. If you like us and follow us, please choose. You have me so bad. Like us and follow us on Facebook at Punk Rock Horror Podcast. Follow us on Twitter at OfficialPHP.
Follow us on Instagram, Punk Rock Horror Podcast, #PHP Podcast.
If you liked our third episode that we released earlier this week, then please consider us supporting us on Patreon. That's where we're going to be putting all those episodes from now on. Yeah. Other than that, please rate and review us on iTunes. Give us a 5-star so we can stand out in the comedy category. We'd really appreciate it if you like what we're doing. If you just go ahead and do that for us as well.
We said find us on Spotify.
Yeah,
iTunes,
you can find us on Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, apparently Player FM, YouTube, our website, which again,
YouTube's a good way to find us too. It's Punk Rock Horror Podcast.
Yeah, and for the website, we're probably not going to have it updated till probably sometime in June or July.
Yeah, mostly because we're in works of doing a photo shoot and everything.
That's right. We got a badass photo shoot planned for everyone. We hope you guys like it. It's going to include blood. It's going to include guts. It's going to include gore. It's just going to be a good old time for the whole family.
Yeah, it's going to be a great time.
All right. Got any last words?
No, I'm good.
All right.
Podcast over.
Podcast over. Bye, everyone.
Bye.